Sometimes it's not the loudest person in the room who commands the most respect or fear. It's the one who says very little, listens a lot, and always seems one step ahead. The person who doesn't need attention but gets it anyway. That's the kind of quiet presence people feel without knowing why. That's Sigma male intelligence. There's something different about a man who doesn't brag, doesn't follow, and doesn't explain himself. He moves through the world on his own terms. He doesn't argue for approval or try to stand out. He simply watches, thinks, and acts when it counts. That kind of energy makes people nervous. Not because he's aggressive, but because he's unpredictable. Sigma males operate differently from alphas or betas. They don't seek to dominate others or fall in line with groups. They stay on the outside by choice. And from that position they see more. They understand more. And they get more done quietly. But it's their intelligence that truly throws people off. Not just book smarts or technical skills, but something deeper. Strategic awareness. Emotional insight. A way of reading the room without needing to speak. Most people don't know how to respond to that. It doesn't fit into the usual social roles. That's why Sigma male intelligence often causes fear. It disrupts expectations. It challenges those who are used to control. And it shines a light on things others might want to keep hidden. In group settings, people can't read the Sigma male easily. He's unpredictable, calm, silent. He doesn't give off signals others rely on to feel comfortable. That lack of feedback can make people feel watched or even judged, even when he's doing nothing at all. And when he does speak, it's sharp, direct, and it cuts right to the point. That's when people realize he's been tracking everything. He's not clueless. He's just been thinking harder than everyone else. In this video, we're breaking down 6 shocking reasons why people fear Sigma male intelligence. These aren't surface-level ideas. They get to the core of how the Sigma mind works and why it triggers discomfort in others. From silence to strength, from emotional control to quiet competence, every trait holds power. And that power often makes others feel exposed. So if you've ever wondered why some people feel uneasy around a quiet, focused, intelligent man, you're about to find out. Let's look at the first reason. Reason number 1, silent strength in decision-making. Most people process decisions out loud. They ask for advice. They second-guess themselves. They look for signs or permission before making a move. But Sigma males don't work that way. They decide in silence. They act without announcement. And that quiet confidence is something most people don't understand or trust. A Sigma male doesn't need a group to validate his thoughts. He looks at a situation, weighs the facts, checks in with his values, and makes a call. That's it. No long meetings. No crowdsourced opinions. Just clear personal thinking. This kind of independence can feel threatening, especially to people who are used to being asked for input or being in charge. When someone makes bold choices without seeking approval, it disrupts the power balance. It sends a message: I don't need you to agree with me to move forward. And that message causes discomfort, especially for authority figures or loud personalities. They're used to influencing others. But the Sigma isn't influenced. He's not rude. He's just focused. He listens, but he decides on his own. This silent strength can make people feel excluded or insecure. They wonder, why doesn't he ask for help? Does he think he's better than us? But the Sigma isn't trying to show off. He's simply relying on himself. That alone makes him stand out. It also means he moves quickly and with purpose. While others are still debating, he's already taking action. Not recklessly, but efficiently. He knows that confidence doesn't always need to shout. Sometimes it just needs to move. That decisiveness, especially when paired with silence, creates an aura. People sense that the Sigma male is operating on a different level. They don't know what he's planning. They don't know what he's thinking. And that mystery can feel like a threat. Especially in leadership settings, this becomes more obvious. The Sigma male leader doesn't explain every move. He simply leads by example. People follow because of results, not speeches. And for those who rely on politics or popularity, that's a scary kind of power. In social settings, this silent decision-making shows up as unshakable calm. The Sigma doesn't rush to answer. He doesn't need to fill silence. He lets others reveal themselves, then responds with exactly what's needed. This makes people feel watched. It makes them question their own words. And that tension grows. Not because the Sigma is trying to scare anyone, but because people aren't used to someone who doesn't need their input to feel strong. That's the first shock of Sigma intelligence. Calm, silent, decisive strength. And it changes the dynamic the moment he walks in. Reason number 2. Unseen depth and insight. Sigma males don't wear their intelligence on the surface. They don't lead with it. They don't try to impress. And because of that, most people assume they're just quiet or average. But that's the trap. When the Sigma finally speaks up, when he reveals what he's been thinking, people are often stunned. That moment of surprise is what makes this type of intelligence feel intimidating. No one saw it coming. No one guessed how much he had already noticed, processed, and understood. It feels like he's been silently mapping everything while others were just talking. Sigma males are observers. They sit back. They take in conversations, body language, power plays, everything. And because they don't react right away, they store that information more deeply. By the time they speak, their point isn't just thoughtful, it's sharp. It often exposes things others missed. Or worse, things others were trying to hide. This can feel threatening. Not because the Sigma is trying to attack, but because his insight cuts through the surface. He notices inconsistencies. He remembers details. He makes connections that others don't. People fear this because it makes them feel vulnerable. It makes them wonder, what else does he see? What is he thinking that he hasn't said yet? That discomfort turns into fear, especially for people who rely on charm, confusion, or control. Sigma intelligence doesn't show off. It reveals. And when it reveals truth that others were ignoring, it shifts power instantly. That's why some people try to discredit the Sigma. They'll call him cold, distant, or arrogant. But deep down they know what they felt, exposed. In personal relationships, this unseen depth makes it hard for others to get close. Not because the Sigma won't open up, but because people realize how much more he's thinking than he lets on. That makes some feel unsure, like they're always behind. In business or group dynamics, it creates a quiet form of control. People start checking themselves around the Sigma. They become more careful, more cautious, because they know, if he's watching, he's remembering. This hidden depth is shocking because it doesn't follow the usual rules. Most smart people want to be seen as smart. They talk, debate, and show off. The Sigma does the opposite. He listens. And when he finally speaks, it's unforgettable. That's what people fear. Not loud genius, but quiet, invisible genius. The kind that's always watching, always thinking, and never off guard. Reason number 3. Fierce independence. Most people, whether they admit it or not, crave some kind of belonging. They want to be part of a group, team, or tribe. They want to know someone has their back. That's human nature. But Sigma males, they don't operate that way. Their independence is so complete, it makes people nervous. The Sigma doesn't rely on social support to make choices. He doesn't need approval to take action. He doesn't even care if people understand him. He's self-contained, and that's rare. This fierce independence doesn't mean he's rude or antisocial. It means he values freedom more than fitting in. He'll turn down offers that come with strings. He'll walk away from groups that expect conformity. And he'll stay quiet rather than fake interest just to get along. That kind of freedom makes others feel uncomfortable. Why? Because it highlights their own dependence. It reminds them of all the ways they still seek validation. People start asking themselves, why do I care so much about what others think? Why do I follow this path if I don't believe in it? That internal questioning creates tension. And some of that tension gets aimed back at the Sigma. The fear comes from not being able to influence him. You can't guilt him. You can't flatter him. You can't lure him in with promises of status or praise. He just doesn't bite. And that throws people off. In group settings, this independence breaks expectations. Everyone's following the crowd, but the Sigma stands still or walks away. That unexpected resistance challenges the whole structure. It quietly says, I'll go my own way, even if I'm alone. That scares people who are used to leading or being led. Even in relationships, this shows up clearly. The Sigma doesn't chase. He doesn't cling. If someone pulls away, he lets them. If someone pressures him, he doesn't fold. That calm detachment can be mistaken for coldness, but it's not. It's just a sign that he doesn't fear being alone. People fear this because it's unfamiliar. They're used to others needing them, reacting to them, or seeking their input. But the Sigma doesn't do any of that. He listens. Then he moves how he wants. That unpredictability, that resistance to influence, feels like a threat to those who depend on control. This independence also gives him more power than most realize. He's not slowed down by drama, opinions, or social games. He's focused on what matters to him, and only that. That laser focus, paired with full autonomy, makes him highly effective. So when others try to pull him in, shape him, or stop him, they find out the truth. You can't hold someone who doesn't need you. And that truth can be hard to accept. Reason number 4, controlled emotional intelligence. Sigma males aren't cold, they're calculated. They don't shut down feelings. They master them. And that level of emotional control can unsettle people more than open anger or loud emotion ever could. The Sigma male is emotionally intelligent. He can read people's tones, expressions, and intentions quickly. He senses tension. He sees through fake smiles. And he rarely lets his own emotions leak unless he wants them to. That gives him an edge and makes others nervous. Most people wear their emotions on the surface. When they're happy, you know. When they're mad, you know. But with a Sigma, you're not always sure. He's calm when others are yelling. He's still when others are shaking. That composure creates uncertainty. People don't know how to react because they don't know what he's really feeling. That mystery feels risky, especially in conflicts or high-stress moments. If someone can't be read, they can't be predicted. And if they can't be predicted, they can't be controlled. Sigma males often use this calm to great effect. In negotiations, they stay quiet while others talk themselves into mistakes. In personal conversations, they withhold reactions, forcing others to fill the space. That control isn't manipulation, it's discipline. But it still feels unsettling to people who are used to emotional cues. This restraint also means the Sigma rarely overreacts. You can insult him and he won't flinch. You can try to provoke him and he'll stay still. That refusal to engage emotionally throws people off balance. They expect a fight, but he offers silence. And that silence is powerful. People fear this emotional control because it challenges the way they communicate. They realize that their usual tactics, guilt, anger, flattery, don't work. The Sigma sees through them, and he responds with calm detachment. But make no mistake, he does feel. He just chooses when and how to express it. That choice makes him more dangerous in a quiet way, because when he does react, it's never impulsive. It's precise. In relationships, this controlled emotional energy makes him dependable but distant. Partners feel safe but sometimes unsure. Friends feel respected but never fully inside his world. That boundary protects the Sigma, but it also builds an air of mystery that people can't quite crack. That's the fear, not that the Sigma is emotionless, but that he's in complete control of what others let rule them. And that makes him hard to read, hard to shake, and nearly impossible to manipulate. Reason number 5. Unwavering conviction in beliefs. Sigma males don't argue for fun. They don't pick sides just to fit in. And they definitely don't change their minds just because it makes things easier. When they believe something, they believe it deeply. And they stick to it, even when it's unpopular. That kind of conviction is rare. Most people bend to pressure. They shift opinions to match the room. But the Sigma male doesn't care what the room thinks. If he's thought something through and it aligns with his values, he holds the line. No yelling. No defending. Just a quiet, steady no. This kind of unshakable belief makes people uncomfortable, especially when they're unsure about their own values. The Sigma's clarity acts like a mirror. It reflects everyone else's doubt back at them. People often fear what they can't sway. If someone doesn't fold under pressure, he becomes a threat to group control. That's why Sigmas are sometimes labeled difficult or stubborn, not because they're wrong, but because they can't be moved by public opinion. In discussions, this plays out clearly. While others debate loudly, the Sigma waits, listens, then offers a simple truth that cuts through the noise. And if someone disagrees, that's fine. He doesn't need agreement to stay firm. This quiet resistance to influence confuses people. They expect pushback, drama, emotion. But the Sigma gives none of that. He just stands where he stands and lets others do what they want. This is especially powerful when the Sigma's beliefs challenge authority or tradition. He doesn't rebel for attention. He walks his own path, and that path often cuts across what's considered normal. That calm defiance creates fear in those who benefit from keeping everyone in line. In leadership roles, this conviction becomes magnetic. People may not agree with the Sigma, but they respect him. Because he's not chasing popularity. He's chasing what's real. That's what people fear. Not loud opinions, but quiet truths that won't move. Because in a world full of trend chasers and crowd followers, someone who stands firm without needing backup feels untouchable. And untouchable is often mistaken for dangerous. Reason number 6. Strategic, quiet competence. There's a kind of person who never talks about what they're working on, but somehow always delivers. They don't post about their goals. They don't brag about their progress. They just show up one day with the results, and everyone is left wondering how they did it. That's the Sigma male. His intelligence doesn't need noise. It doesn't need validation. It works in silence, moves in secret, and reveals itself only when the mission is complete. This quiet competence creates fear in people, not because it's aggressive, but because it's unpredictable. Most people share their plans as they go. They want feedback, encouragement, or advice. That process gives others a sense of control or involvement. But the Sigma doesn't operate that way. He disappears. He works. And when he returns, the work speaks for itself. That silence makes others nervous, because they never know what he's building. They don't know when he'll strike. They don't even know what he's thinking. That makes him hard to track, and in competitive spaces hard to beat. Sigma males play a long game. They don't waste time proving points. They don't chase attention. They look at the bigger picture, map it out, and move one piece at a time. While others rush or panic, the Sigma waits, studies, plans, and then executes with precision. This strategic nature is deeply tied to their intelligence. They don't just work hard, they work smart. They focus only on what matters. No wasted energy. No flashy moves. Just calm, relentless momentum. Others might not see the effort until it's too late. That's part of the shock. The Sigma doesn't show the grind, he just shows the result. And the result is often so clean, so sharp, that people feel threatened. They didn't even realize he was in the game. In workplaces, this causes confusion. Co-workers don't understand how he got ahead. Bosses can't read his process. But no one can deny the outcome. He delivers better, faster, smarter, all without making a scene. In social groups, it creates mystery. He's not loud. He's not dominant. But somehow people still watch him, still feel drawn to him. That's what competence does. It earns quiet respect. People fear this kind of power because they can't measure it. They can't control it. And they can't predict it. The Sigma isn't flashy, but he's effective. And deep down, everyone knows that quiet success is more dangerous than loud effort. The Sigma's intelligence isn't just in what he knows. It's in how he moves. Calm, sharp, focused, and always ready. Fear doesn't always come from aggression or volume. Sometimes it comes from silence, from control, from clarity. That's why people fear Sigma male intelligence. It's not that Sigma males are smarter than everyone else. It's that they use their intelligence differently. They don't waste it trying to impress. They don't broadcast their thoughts. They don't explain themselves unless there's a reason. And that makes people uncomfortable. We've walked through 6 shocking reasons why this quiet power creates fear. The Sigma's silent decision-making challenges loud authority. His hidden depth catches people off guard. His fierce independence breaks the need for group control. His emotional discipline makes him hard to read. His unshakable beliefs unsettle those who chase trends. And his quiet competence turns him into someone others can't predict or stop. In a world where everyone's trying to be seen, the Sigma chooses to watch. Where others rush to speak, he waits. And while most try to prove their worth, he proves it by action. That's what makes his intelligence feel dangerous. It doesn't play by the rules. It doesn't need approval. And it never forgets what it sees. So the next time you meet someone who doesn't say much but seems to know more than he should, pay attention. He might be a Sigma. And if he is, don't mistake his silence for weakness. It's the silence that should make you think twice.